In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, Amen. I'm at the monastery, that is the Hermitage of the Holy Cross in Wayne, West Virginia. And I generally have all kinds of ideas in my head when I come here. I come here for rest, but I also work hard. And of course, the services are long and they're every 3 times a day. And in the services, things just kind of jump out at me. So Tuesday was St Matrona, the Blessed of Moscow, who's highly venerated by me and by people in our parish. And during her service, there was, I believe it was a Prakimanon, and it's from Psalm 118. I'll read it to you. "O unveil mine eyes, and I shall perceive wondrous things out of thy law." Now this whole psalm, all 176 verses, is about the law of God. And many of the verses are about how we are in darkness, how we are in ignorance, how we are begging God to remove the scales from our eyes so that we can see him and know him. And so this is what this says. Now remember, Matrona was blind. And so she didn't see with her physical eyes, but she saw things with her spiritual eyes, sometimes as well as someone who's sighted would see. In fact, better. Sometimes she described things that nobody, even with eyes, would be able to describe with the detail that she described. So we're asking the Lord, in the context of St. Matrona, of our service and our praise of her, to unveil our eyes. Now I wonder, do you do that? Do you beg the Lord to remove from you the scales from your eyes? Do you recognize in yourself that you have scales in your eyes? That you don't see things because of your pride, because of your vanity, because of your ignorance, because of your incompetence, because of sins, because of laziness, because of distractions, because of all the things that happen in life? The services talk about that sort of thing all the time, but our eyes are sometimes half closed, or maybe all the way closed, and so we don't see it or hear it. So here we are begging the Lord to unveil our eyes. And what happens when we do? We perceive wondrous things out of thy law. The law of God is a reflection of who God is. It's not rules. It's not requirements. It is the way of life. And so if we see things as they are, which according to the Fathers, as far as I understand, is pretty much the highest virtue. Of course, love is the greatest of virtues, but a person who loves and is perfected is able to see all things as they are. So to see all things as they are is a rare gift for the very few in this life. But in the next life, we will see. Now the question is, how much will we see in this life? I think we should be begging the Lord all the time to unveil our eyes. Now that's a dangerous prayer, just like that prayer for patience. Because in that prayer, the Lord is seeing that we are giving him permission to guide us and do whatever it takes to bring us to an understanding of him. That means things must be broken down. We must fall upon that cornerstone. And what happens when we fall upon that cornerstone? We are broken. But if the cornerstone falls upon us, we are crushed. We don't want the stone to fall on us. We want to willingly fall upon that stone, which is Christ. We want to beg Christ to enlighten us and help us, and he will. But then tough stuff happens. But you know, tough stuff happens in life without begging God to help us. Because life is difficult, life is hard. We should suffer with purpose. As a priest, I see a lot of suffering. And all you need to do is read the news. And you see all this suffering, but so much of it is without any purpose. We should see the purpose behind everything. We should see God's providence in everything. And beg God to enlighten us in all ways, then indeed we will have our eyes unveiled and we will perceive wondrous things out of the law of God. May God grant us. Perhaps you want to add this as a prayer to your daily rule. O unveil mine eyes, that I may perceive wondrous things out of thy law. It's Psalm 118, 18. God bless. Christ is risen.